Um, good good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second module of the 2024 Financial Literacy and Enterprise Development Training. Karibuni sana. And as you join, please let us know where you're joining us from. And we would like also to wish you a happy customer service week. This week is customer service week, and we would like to let you know that we appreciate you as our customers and our valued partners in this journey. And karibuni sana, all those who are joining. As usual, let us know where you're joining us from. Please share what has stood out for you from last week's session, where we covered business competitiveness. And you know what stood out for you. And if you're joining us for the first time, let us know. Karibuni sana. We can see Masai Mara, Ruiru, Ngong Road, from far and wide. Kisumu, karibuni sana. Today's session is on succession planning and will be taken by Duncan Ndungu. Karibuni sana. We are glad to have you all on board. So I think we did the introductions during the last week's session. So today we will dive right in to the module for the day. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Duncan to take us through today's session. Karibu, Duncan. Oh, allow me, sorry, also to mention that we have Faith and Lillian, who will be our interpreters for today. And we will also just share the instructions on the chat. But at the interpretation tab at the bottom of your screen, you can be able to select American Sign Language and you will get interpretation. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you very much, Mantui and team. I am glad to be here once again. My name is Dongo Ndegwa, a consultant in business development services. And I was here last week for business competitiveness, a very interesting session that had a lot of feedback. So I want to appreciate your feedback and the demonstration of the understanding of the business competitiveness. I believe that today's session will also be very interesting. Succession planning is a very interesting area because many businesses suffer from transition problems, and many of them eventually die out before they transit to other generations. So I'm happy to be here once again, and we'll be here for 2.5 hours. We'll do 1 hour and around 15 minutes, the first part of the session, then take a break as we did last time for 15 minutes for a refresher. Then we'll do another 45 minutes. Then we have a question and answer session. Then we close at 11:30. So be comfortable and welcome to the succession planning for micro and small and medium enterprises session for today. Yeah, in our presentation today, right, the session is broken down to overview. We shall have an overview on succession planning, why we do it, because first of all, in everything, we look at the why. Why should we do succession planning? Then we shall have a look at 11 steps in succession planning, where I'll take you through in a very detailed way the steps that we take in succession planning. Later, we shall look at the challenges of succession planning, the legal aspects, the types of succession planning, success factors, or what drives a well-managed succession planning for businesses. We shall have a look at a few takeaways as we did last time. Then we shall have a to-do exercise that you can do on your own based on the steps in succession planning. And finally, we shall have a question and answer for about 15 minutes. So to start off, we are looking at succession planning in businesses, whether it's micro, medium, or small business, as a process of identifying and developing potential future leaders, and they are having a smooth transition to the same. We are looking at long-term sustainability of businesses, and I've already indicated that from experience and from research, about 95% of businesses flop in 5 years. So only 5% of businesses see their 5th birthday. Now, you can imagine now beyond the 5th birthday, maybe to the 10th birthday, how many will still be there? Maybe another 50% of the 5% is gone. So that tells us that in 10, 15 years, we have very few businesses still in existence. Why is it like that? Number one is because of the why we start a business. Majority of business starters engage in business to make money. So the end game is to have money. And they want money for themselves so that they can become rich, can become wealthy, so that they can have a flashy lifestyle, and so on. So the why determines the success of a business. So most of these businesses also, they are started by individuals. So they are tied around an individual. When a business is tied around an individual, with time it catches up with the individual's weaknesses. So your weaknesses start manifesting. Your lack of capacity starts manifesting. Your lack of a broad vision catches up shortly. Your lack of a long-term strategy catches up with you shortly. So a business can only grow to the extent that your capacity as a business owner grows. And that is why when it finally catches up with your weaknesses, then it doesn't have a choice but to collapse. And collapsing, they do hard. So the reason we are talking about succession today is because per se, the business you have is actually not yours, because it is rendering a service to me and the other person. So when you close doors, when your service is not available anymore, as much as it hurts you, it also hurts me as a consumer. So in that understanding, then, there is need for long-term planning. There is need for long-term sustainability so that me and you can be happy. You as the business owner and me as the consumer. So we have to safeguard each other and ensure that we are both happy. So with that understanding, then, it lays a background as to why we should strive to have to establish long-term businesses, and the why of the business should not be looking at the per se, the profit you make, but the satisfaction I get if your business is geared towards solving a problem or offering a service, then obviously you'll get your money. But if the biggest why is to get money, most likely you won't get it until I'm satisfied. So that kind of vision, that kind of understanding is very crucial to business practice, is very crucial to business development. So that is why we are on succession planning today. Very crucial. So why then? Why do we engage in succession planning? Because until we answer the why, we cannot answer the how. All right? It all starts with the why. And today's presentation is a bit wordy, and it is intentional because let alone can, once it is shared out, it can be more like notes, for future reading and so on. So I've tried to be as detailed as possible and to give material for reference. As much as we are going to discuss in depth, and we develop that good understanding. Number one is business continuity. And a well-designed succession plan ensures that this continuity is achievable, even when the beginners are no longer involved. So when you look at your business today, whatever the scale, whether it is micro, whether it is small or medium, what you should have in mind is business continuity, because we have agreed that this business is not actually yours, it's mine as a consumer. So don't deny me the service because it will end soon. So business continuity should be thought of in the design stage of a business so that the service can be perpetual. It can outlive the people who started it. Okay, so business continuity, minimizing disruption. A well-planned succession should anticipate and come up with ways of dealing with disruption, and also preserving knowledge and relationships that go on in a business. Some businesses are based on maybe some skill that should be preserved in the long term. So perpetuation of this skill is necessary if this success planning is to be achieved, or if it's to transcend your lifetime. The next why is to have employee confidence and morale to maintain it, because confidence with customers builds slowly. And once it is created, it should be sustained. Also, this confidence also with employees builds slowly and should be maintained because an employee's interest is longevity of service at your business. Employees are very particular to how long are they going to serve in your industry, how long are they going to serve in your business, because that is where they get their upkeep. The moment employees think that they are not there for long, they start seeking alternatives. They also, you lose key employees, you lose skill. And if you have skilled employees that you build with time, it's always good to keep them, because that is a skill that reflects on your bottom line or your profit margin. Then the next why is financial stability. And succession planning allows the business to plan for financial contingencies and ensure smoother learning and financial transition. So that is another why that is why we have succession planning, or what is enabled by succession planning. Financial stability, having a good capital base, having sources of capital and so on. You can ensure a legacy. That is where the business owner would like to have a business that sets generations, a business that can go, can have a broad vision, can have a wide, and can ensure future leaders, can ensure future success. So if you are interested in ensuring legacy for your business, then you have to manage your succession properly. Unfortunately, most people who start business, and it's a personal weakness with all of us, is that sometimes we start something and we have not planned the end. We know the beginning, but we don't know the end. And that is why when we start something, we don't want to stop. We want to manage it forever. But unfortunately, what has a beginning has the end, including our very, very lives. So the next why is to manage family-owned businesses. And it helps resolve issues around who will take over leadership and ensuring the business remains viable and profitable. For family-owned businesses, if you want to have a successful family-owned business, then succession planning must be managed very well. Unfortunately, many businesses are not able to run through families because the vision is broken somewhere along the way.
Duncan, sorry to
Yes,
interrupt.
please. Yes.
The boxes are appearing, so I don't know if you could try and close, especially the one on the right.
And I have no on my on my
On your
end.
side. Yeah.
Okay, let me try to
Maybe
close
if you
this.
minimize, because on our
I have
side, yeah,
minimized one. It's completely minimized.
completely minimized. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
can you see it?
Yeah, we apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for the boxes. We're trying to work on them.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you
so,
still
so
seeing
yes,
them?
they're still there, but it's okay. You can proceed and then maybe
Okay, all right.
just stop
On
sharing
my
and then share
end,
again.
okay, I
Maybe,
stopped sharing.
yeah, yeah, just stop sharing, then share again.
All right.
We see if that can help. Yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me try stop sharing for now and share again so that we are in tandem. So, I've shared again. Can you see it?
Yes, but now the boxes are still. I don't know if everyone can. Maybe we can hear from.
Yeah,
Um,
they can do chats.
yes, please comment if you can see.
Yes.
Um, have you shared in full screen? Maybe you can share in full
Yes.
screen.
Yes, full screen.
Okay, and then just remove the boxes that you see from your end on participants.
Yeah,
And
I've removed.
okay, because we
All
can
right.
see resume or review slides on our end.
What are you seeing on your end?
The boxes are even bigger now. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this.
Uh-huh.
Let's do like we did last time. You do it, then
Okay.
I'll prompt you.
Okay.
All right.
All
So
right.
let me
Let
stop
me.
sharing, manage them from my end.
Okay.
So let me stop sharing on the same. Okay, so I'm waiting now from your end now.
So just confirm if you can see the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Myself, I can see, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we
Okay,
can
the
proceed.
boxes now are on my end, but no problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So can we proceed?
Okay.
Can we proceed?
Yes, yes. Is that the slide?
Yes. Okay,
Is this the
so okay,
okay.
okay, back. Yes, that's where we were. All right. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed. So I was telling you about managing of family-owned businesses is complicated by our behavior to start businesses, and we don't think of the end, how the business will end. So we think we'll be there kind of forever, and we don't really plan for exit. But the way we are created is that we will, cease at some point, or our skills are going to degrade with time. So it's always good to have succession planning if you are thinking of a business that is going to transcend generations, because I say it again, this business, it's you starting it all right, but it's mine also as a customer. When I wake up, I don't get bread from your kiosk. It is me who has suffered. So we engage in succession planning so that the customer is happy and you are also happy. Then the next why is the mitigation of attracting investors and financing. A stable business attracts investors, attracts financiers. And that is why when you are doing a business plan and you want a loan from a financer, they always question you around, they look at the longevity of your business, they study your business plan to see how stable it is. And today, succession planning or a succession plan is a very heavy score for acquisition of finance. Any financer will be interested to know if your succession plan is in place, because that gives more confidence. If you have a succession plan, you are more likely to get financing, unlike somebody else who doesn't have a succession plan. Then mitigation of legal and tax issues. Yes, that's another why for succession planning, because it helps you to plan for taxes. It helps you to plan for legal issues around the business. Today, we have um, tax regimes that have been introduced by the new regime. It's nothing unusual. Every regime comes with its own taxation policy. And because you will be in business, you have to tie your success, you have to tie your strategy around the existing legal and tax issues. And that is why a good succession plan helps you manage through your taxes and legal issues. Then there is alignment with growth plans, because every business should have a strong vision, should have a strong mission, and a succession plan shows you the path to growth. Actually, succession plan is a plan to growth, and is a pathway to success over time, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and so on. So that's another why we should have a succession plan for a business. Next, Mantui. Now, I want to go through the steps in succession planning in micro and small businesses, because this is very crucial. In fact, in our to-do slide at the end, we shall be interrogating the steps in succession planning that you can go and now expound on for your own business, because we agree that something that you don't practice, you end up coming back to where you began. So I'm going to be very slow and meticulous in the 11 steps that we are going to look at right now in succession planning for a business, be it a small business, be it a micro business, be it a medium-sized business. Businesses are the same. The concepts are usually the same. What differs is the capital employed. What differs is the vision. What differs is the capacity employed. So a kiosk is the same as a supermarket. The difference is what I've just indicated. So the step number one in succession planning, and I've tried to be as detailed as possible, is to assess the business future needs. Here you project, what does my business need in future? And that helps you to look at to evaluate the key positions. And now you can extrapolate or foresee the critical roles that will be played by the key positions you have, the employees you have, and going into the future, what you project your future will be like. You have to forecast the future needs of your business in expounding of the goals and growth trajectory of your business. And here is in simple words, if today you have a shoe shine business where you are just a solo business person, you can project maybe to have 10 outlets in 5 years, maybe another 10, another 5 years, maybe in 20 years, you want to be in several towns or all over the city. If you are a hotelier today, you have a small hotel somewhere on River Road, maybe you project the next 5 years to move to a bigger, hotel space. In the next 5 years, you want maybe to have another opening. And those, if you are familiar with Nairobi, you know, there are some hotels that are having that kind of a strategy, having an opening in every point in town, you know. I don't want to name names, but they are there. So your strategy. So you assess into the future, what direction do you want to go? And now you can map out the key positions. What will be their roles? And what will be your growth trajectory like? What skills do you need? What experiences do you need? What leadership qualities do you need? Or capacity of staff do you need? That is number one, to assess your business future needs. Number two, now you have to identify as early as now the potential successors. It's very interesting. This is step number two, because if succession is to have any meaning, then you have to start planning for it early. You have assessed your future needs. Then the next step then will be to identify the potential successors. If this is a family business, this is the point to decide if you want this business to run in the family for so many years to come. You want to merge it with another business later on in life. You want to sell it a few years from now, because all these are possibilities. And to achieve that, then you have to assess your candidates, your likely candidates that you take up after you. I know this is sensitive because not many of us, and I think it's a human weakness, who think beyond ourselves. Tunasema tunaanza biashara ya kusaidia watoto, but we don't see our watotos growing to taking up the business. We kind of think tutakuwa pale milele. So in this step 2, you have an opportunity now to look at your children. If you are thinking of business that will be left in the hands of the children, you can assess the one you think has best capacity. You look at their capabilities, you look at their leadership qualities, and also willingness to take over, because your children might be capable, might be learned, might be having all the qualities, but maybe they don't identify your business. And you have seen people with businesses and their children are not interested. And we had one case some years back, very few years back, where we had, a very endowed businessman in Kenya who passed on, and he used to say that he used to have a son and a daughter, and the son was not interested in a father's businesses. In fact, he went abroad to work, and where he was employed, in fact, the father also had shares there. So he was essentially the father's employee, but he was not interested in running the father's businesses, and they are mega in this country. No names mentioned. So once you assess the internal candidates, then you'll be able to spot the one who has the best capabilities and capacity to run the business many years after, the many years you have determined when you need a transition. Sometimes you may consider external candidates. If maybe you are first considering your family members and they are not willing or they don't have capacity, then you can consider external candidates. You can, even hire from out. And once you do that, you have to assess their capacity assessment. You have to do capacity assessment on them to know the skills they have and the strategic thinking. So succession is not just about families. It can be about even outsiders. As we are going to see later on, we have very many forms of succession. And sometimes it's within the family. Sometimes it can be mergers. Sometimes you can even spot an employee who looks capable, and you say, fine, I think so many years from now, we shall groom this employee to take over this business. Okay? Or we want to actively hire somebody from out who have the qualities to come and run this business. And that is an important step in succession planning. Next, Mantu. Click next. Sorry, we are managing this differently so that the boxes don't inconvenience you. Mantui, let's go next, please. So as we wait for Mantui to click next, just to emphasize that sometimes we see succession as just a family affair, but it is not. You can actually even groom an outsider to come and take over, or a relative, because what you are looking for is essentially capacity, because as we agreed at the beginning, this business is yours and it's mine as a consumer. I can see Mantu wants to share again. I think has an issue. We have to, you can groom even an outsider, because our interest is to have the business go on. When we have decided that we are going to transcend and play a minimal role in it. So it is not always about relatives, the way we always think. And while we are at that, if you are thinking of your children taking over, thank you, Mantui. If you are thinking of your children taking over, then you have to groom them. And that is a weakness we have as human beings. Sometimes our children know nothing about what we are doing. And you can see communities, we know some communities who are very good entrepreneurs. Manfi, please go to number 3. They groom their children so that they grow knowing and they grow taking responsibilities in their businesses, in their father's businesses. Unfortunately, some of us don't do it. So if your children don't know what you do, then you can forget about the transition of what you do in your family. Yes, I will repeat that. If your children don't know what you do, they have never participated in what you do, then you can kiss goodbye to succession to family members because they have no capacity, they have no exposure. So maybe the possibilities for you in future is possibly to for your business to be taken over by, maybe you can groom an employee, maybe you can sell it off, because if your family members don't know about it, then it will fall. And the businesses, big brands have fallen. And we know a few which have fallen. So it is not new. Yeah. So Manpui, put on slideshow mode, please. So it is not new. Yeah, go back to number 3, please. And here we are. So the next very important step, and I'm taking my time here as I promised because it is important, is developing the successors now, working on whoever you have identified to take over from you. That is developing the successors, because hapa kazi lazima ifanywe. 1, mentorship, training and mentorship. So you have to be very intentional in training the successors to build their capacity. So you have to take them for courses. You have to give them exposure, like if it's your family, let them participate in business, give them roles so that they know exactly what happens. You have to assign roles to them. If you have a small kiosk, assign roles even to children. Maybe that in the evening to count the money, maybe to fill the records, so that they start knowing how it is done. When they start working on records this early, they know that you must do record keeping. Every day you must determine how much is cash in hand, how much sales every day, and any other analysis you do per day. Let them participate in arranging of goods in the supermarket, if that's what you have. Let them participate in serving customers, even in a hotel, so that skill can be ingrained in them. So you have to be very, very intentional in developing your successors by training and mentorship, by assigning leadership roles. Sometimes you test them. Sometimes you give them tasks and you watch them do them. So that with the time they develop confidence. Where does confidence come from? Confidence comes from somebody allowing me to do it and knowing very well I might not be 100%. When you are allowed to practice something, even when your mistakes are acceptable, that's what gives you confidence, because you'll make a mistake today, but you're not going to repeat tomorrow. So developing of successors is intentional. It's not by accident. Take them to courses. And Some of the communities I'm talking about who we know in Kenya, we're very good in enterprise development. You will see they take their kids to school. They take their kids to the best universities in the country and out. But they take courses relevant to their business. If they are in engineering, they go to do engineering courses and come back to the business. They are grown through the business. And when they come back to business to serve in their business. So with the time, they are developing capacity that is relevant to their business. Most of us take courses for an unknown future employer. Okay? And that is where the mindset differs now. Most of us take courses and we have no idea what they translate to. So, and that leads to unemployment because you come out with your first class, second upper, but even you don't know what you're learning it for. And because you don't, then don't be surprised if they don't translate to anything. Yeah. Because, well, garbage in, garbage out. If you didn't have, if it was not intentional, then what do you expect? If you went through 5 years of learning of a course and you didn't know where to take you, then why are you surprised it has taken you nowhere? So development of successors is intentional, building capacity, and being intentional in what they learn. Then you have to establish a timeline. You know, smart goals are time-bound. You have to decide early enough that I'm starting a business today. And because I am 30 years old, when do I want to exit from this? Some people don't want to stay in something for long, maybe in 5 years. Some entrepreneurs start businesses, bring managers, and move on to another one. So they have a chain of businesses, and they are very good at putting very good, capable workers, and they move on. They have a chain of businesses. Others have one good business that goes on and on. So you have to establish a timeline so that everything else now can be determined by a timeline. Do you want to transit after 60 years? We are not very good at that, most of us. Most of my business with the small and micro, you'll never hear this conversation about, I want to do this up to some point. We even forget we are growing old. So you start a shop today when you have a lot of energy, and you think at 60 you still have the same energy. Time changes so many things. And one thing it changes is us. The energy you have at 20 is not the energy level you have at 30, 40, 50, 60. So you have a timeline on when do you want to make your exit. Most of the business people are not good at all from my experience and what we have seen with the business people out here. They want to hang on there forever. And when you hang on, as I said in another slide, your weaknesses finally catch up with you. And when they catch up with you, then you fall and business also falls. Yeah. So the retirement date or exit date should be clear, because it's only through that clarity that you can be able to plan backwards to see what you should do now, next year, and the other year. If it is vague, then every other attempt to do anything will be vague. So just like we say in SMART goals, setting SMART goals, establishing a timeline for succession is very, very important, even at the starting point, because this business is not yours. It's yours and me, because I'm the consumer and you are the manager of it. So you hurt me more if I cannot get the service that you promised to offer, or you umenizoesha kupata, right? Good, Mantu, let's go next slide. The next item, very important for us, is to document the succession plan. Because it is intentional, just like we do with a business plan, a succession plan should be intentional and should be written down. so that nothing is left vagueness. Anything that is not clear to everyone is not articulatable. So you need to document the succession process and outlining the roles of the key players, whether they are family, whether they are outsourced. It should be very well documented so that everybody knows what should happen when. You know, if it's a 5-year transition, everybody is clear by year one, this is what you should have achieved, maybe capacity development. By year two, maybe year one is setting up. Year two, a lot of capacity development. Year three, a bit of roles changes so that now employees can take charge more. Year four, more confidence in them. Year five, December 2030, on 1st December, I'm exiting and everybody knows. It should not be hidden like, something bad. There is nothing wrong transiting. Yeah. But, well, it's culturally, we are not prepared to leave the scene early. And that is me and you. That is how we were programmed from birth. Like when you start something, you click there. Even when you fall with it. But that is not a business-minded mindset. That is a cultural-driven mindset, which we are learning today to separate so that you can separate your life from business life. Because in business education, we say a business is a going concern. It should go on and on and on. We know properties, we know businesses that were owned by people who died many years ago, but they are still on because succession planning was well done and it was not about the individuals anyway. It was about the business. Yeah. When you take a matatu, you don't know the owner. Yeah. You get a service. You never ask the driver who is the owner, by the way, why did he know? You take a matatu because that's the service you need. Yeah. When you go to the hotel, you don't ask the owner. Maybe the owners are gone many years ago, but they were able to translate that with a successful succession plan. So ownership transfer plan should also be created so that we know how our hands changing in this business. Is it to the family? Is it to the employee? Is it to a new business partner? Or is it, are we growing this business to sell? Because that could be a strategy. That plan should be clear. And when it is clear, nobody is in doubt and everybody know their role. Step number 5 is the need to engage legal and financial advisors because some businesses have gone down because of poor planning of legal and financial matters. It's always good because it is professional, because it is intentional. It's always good to work with legal advisors, and they are not very expensive, to ensure that all agreements, contracts, and so on are professionally written. There is compliance with the regulatory bodies or requirements, and tax issues are addressed so that it doesn't come as a surprise 2-3 years down the road when everybody is very set for the takeover. Then you discover that KRA is looking for you for unpaid taxes dating back 20 years. And that is enough to crash the business. It's good to work with advisors so that every agreement is kept, every contract is kept legally, because poor contracts can also affect you down the road. How? You can have a contract with an employee or a supplier or whoever. Then a small miss takes you to court because of breach of contract. Then you find yourself paying back or compensating either a supplier or an employee with a lot of money. And that can lead to business. And that is a very big weakness for many businesses in Kenya, the ones have had, an opportunity to review. They know. No? So because you think you know, you start. Yeah, I know of somebody who started a college, and this college was not supposed to offer the kawaida courses, or so she thought. It's a she. So she thought she was going to offer capacity building, these NGO, like capacity building courses, short courses, have a nice college, and make all the money. Then what happens is that when the college was open, the government came calling, because all curricula, if you register a college in Kenya, the curriculum we don't decide, it is decided by the government, or it's approved by the government. She didn't know that. So she found herself with a very beautiful college. And 2 years down the line, she discovered that what she had in mind, she cannot offer, because now the government came and assessed, everything was okay, except the courses. They said, okay, I can see you have 5 computers. I think you can do computer packages. Computer packages, yes, that's what you can do. Maybe a little bit certificate in IT at a very low level. So the long and short of it is that within a very short time, that college was closed, because it could not answer to the strategic objectives that was set for. It failed because of lack of professional advice. She thought she can offer any courses you want, any way you want. But when Tiveta came calling, that's when she knew that you don't start a college and you run it the way you want. The government determines the curriculum and so many other things that you didn't know before, including making sure the building look in a certain way. It's a hired premise. So you have to start doing a lot of innovations, because labs must be reinforced, there are so many provisions that must be done. Where you have many people in a room, so some rooms don't need to have grills because of disaster aspects. So you come to learn there are so many things, but if she had advised us before, she would have known that before putting some several million shillings in it. So unfortunately, the college was closed 2-3 years down the line, and that was it. So legal advice, financial advice, and other technical advisors are very crucial to the succession plan. Next, Mantui. Right. The step number 7 is important to communicate the plan. And communication is in 2 ways. There is internal and external communication. You must actually involve your staff in the succession plan. Internally, everybody must know there is a succession plan, and everybody must know what must happen when. So that they don't sit one day, they find some people coming and saying, we are buying this business. They should not be surprised. They should, one, they have a lot of ideas to give. 2, they are the ones actually taking the role in your business. And 3, you never know. Maybe they will be interested to keep the business themselves. So it's always good to communicate internally and also externally to your stakeholders. Your stakeholders should know that we are in this business for so many years. Maybe we shall relocate from Kenya after 10 years, so that wajipange pia, they know how to relate with you. They know how to relate with the new owners, how to relate with the new managers, and so on. So communication is key. This communication is very poor in businesses. In family-led businesses, you will find most likely, apart from the starter of the business, nobody else knows. We have a supermarket, they don't know where the goods come from, they don't know what will happen tomorrow, they don't know anything. They'll wake up one day and hear mzee ameacha hii biashara ameifunga na ameiuza. Okay? Employees wanaambiwa from now you will be paid by somebody else. You know, it's always good to have internal communication. Most appropriate also is external communication, because this business is ours. We should not be surprised when your business closes. I'll give you a very tiny and funny example. A supermarket brand has moved near to where I stay, and it has really ruffled feathers around there. It has really affected the small enterprises. So a shop near my house has closed down the last 1 month. And that is a shop. It is not just a shop. We have a very, intricate relationship with that shop. These shops in the estate. One, that's where you drop all messages for everybody else. Nani akipitia hapa umwambie hii. Now it is closed. That one is affected. That's where we leave keys when you are going out. Now we have no problem where we leave keys to the house. The next, that's why we also get updates, like what has been in the estate during the day, what happened, stima ilipotea, ikarudi, very good information. That's why we pick bread without paying for a week. That's why we have a Kasmoro Kitabu showing, So we are suffering. Yeah, and this serikali ingilie kati. So it's a very small, funny example, but just to demonstrate that we were not informed the shop was closing. We just woke up one day and it was closed. Very small kiosk of about everything is like 50,000 stock, but very crucial to everybody here. She did not inform us that she was closing. Now where funguo happy. Where do we pick bread and pay after a week? Where will my maziwa be dropped? I pick later in the day. Where shall we leave our keys? A business is a relationship. I can use funny examples, but they are the real examples, So, what actually happened is that many customers are attracted by brands. So we started passing our shop saying, "How have you today?" Meanwhile, you have a paper bag from the brand, because the customer behavior is like that. So, yeah, we let her down too. And she hit back by leaving without telling us. So, but customer behavior is like that. Right. Executing the transition as step number 8 now is very important, because this is where now the rubber meets the road. You have to start the gradual process of transition, so that if you are exiting now, basically you have to start scaling down your presence. You have to start scaling up the capacity of your employees and make them take charge a little bit more. Now your face should start retreating, because you want to do it in 5 years. By the 3rd year now, you should be seen less and less now, so that you go back to giving capacity, to advising, and letting the others, take the show, transitioning the responsibilities. And now you advise from the back office. So you are now executing the plan, keeping the records in place. Introducing, if you are selling to a new customer, to a new business, introducing the brand, making them used to a new way of doing things. Maybe they have a new HR system. Starting to, subscribe to that, pole, so that now with the time you are leveling the bumps of change, because a human being is not created to absorb bumps quickly. Lazima azoeshwe. So gradual transitioning of responsibilities is crucial. Kama ni watoto wako, waanze kuzoea kufanya rekodi, kuweka, kujua suppliers, kujua how things are done, kujua everything about that business. And now you can start coming, but not actively work. but to see them do, see them carry on the show without you, so that now your owner role diminishes a little bit because we are in transition. And everybody will see you are in transition because they can see new faces. You are informing them, okay? You are making communication clear, and everybody knows that hii biashara ina change. Ni kama imenunuliwa na watu fulani, na ni kama wanaendelea wakieji polepole, in 5 years watakuwa sasa wamechange over. Ama inachukuliwa na watoto, sasa watoto ndio watakuwa pale, sasa manager ni ile kijana mkubwa. HR ni yule kijana mfupi. The COO ni yule msichana. People start now acclimatizing and getting used to the change because it is important as you retreat to the back. I used to see such an arrangement once upon a time in Western Kenya. In Kakamega town, there used to be one shop that specialized with toys. And the parents had this interesting way of involving their children. They had a boy and a girl. From their tender age, they were involved in business. And by the time they were 10, you could go there and find they are the only ones. The parents are doing other things, but they are capable of everything. They know even know how to bargain. They know what, they know everything. I would like to meet them today and see how they transition, because it was actually a case study when we were doing business counseling. It was a small case study of how watoto can be involved in a transition. And the mzee was telling us that yes, watoto should know what you are doing, because they should know. When you are not there, they run the show. And mzee had a matatu here and another matatu there, so he could get time now to go and do other things. He was doing some farming, so the shop could run as long as the kids were there over the weekends. It could run because they had capacity. And that was to me, as a BDS provider, it was a very interesting case study. And the kids were in charge and they knew everything. They know how to record. They sell something, they record. They know this item was bought at this price. So hata ukibagain namna gani hatuwezi pita. So kitu kama hiyo situation. And it was a very good case. That was about 10, 20 years ago. I don't know how. I would like to meet them again and see how that case went. Next, Mantui. Yes. The next step, as you do all this, is always good to monitor and adjust the plan if there is need. As you run your business, some other new things crop up, which you have no control. Like before 2020, we didn't know that you can have an epidemic come that can force us to change the way we do our things, including this, what I'm doing now. Before 2020, we were used to face-to-face training. And when Corona came on the 13th March, I remember the date very well because so many things happened on that day. We had never known of Zoom. I didn't know there was Zoom until around 20th of March 2020. When you are told now I was in a project, building a project somewhere, and we're told from now we shall have meetings by Zoom. What is Zoom? Just download, do this, that, then you click, you work on the, you can put on a camera, we missed big time. Sometimes we forget to unmute, sometimes we mute, sometimes we forget the camera is on. We missed properly. So if that happens, then you have to open doors to flexibility. Change of adjustment of strategy in the face of changes that you could not foresee. And that is why in your monitoring system, you should be prepared to revise a succession plan if circumstances change. What are the circumstances that can change? Number one, epidemics, like the corona we are talking about. Number two, loss of interest of whoever you thought could take over, or departure, or death, you know. Something can change along the way, and then you have to be flexible, because, or you just you can meet initially you wanted to keep it, but possibly now there's a deal, somebody wants to buy your business, and maybe the money is not resistible. Then you can adjust and say, okay, we have said 5 years, we keep it now. Let's plan in 3 years to sell this business, and we keep the money. So you have to, look at the environment. You could have other political issues like what happened in 2007. You are in a business, you have planned everything, but now suddenly somebody maps you to your tribe, and your tribe is supposed to stay in a certain part of Kenya, and you should join them there, no matter how good your shop is. So if that happens, that is a change that you should now bring in flexibility. When Corona came, we started getting used to training people we are not seeing. Like now, I have 639 people I can't see and I may not see. But this is the flexibility we have to get accustomed to. And we are doing well now. We are used now. But the first days, we were not used. Then step number 10 is the formal exit of the current leader or owner. Pale sasa unasema now is the formal time to leave. Now, the final handover should be done. The reason why we do the final handover is because of closure. Everybody should know, whether inside the business or out at this point, we are winding up, or my role is ending. Some do it in form of even a party, where people come there and give you gifts, just to make it stick in the minds of customers and everybody that now we have something new. So formal exit is very important. And possibly, you can even do early visioning, to take your staff through the vision you had at the beginning and how it is going to translate in the future, because you are still the vision carrier, yeah? So that they can see where are we heading. And they can be able now to internalize that as they go forward. The reason why this is important is because people have hang-ups. When they see you, they see the organization. Yeah. A time should come when people see you, they don't see the organization. There's a time when we saw Safaricom and we saw Michael Joseph. But at some point he left and he assumed other roles until we forgot him. And whatever he is doing today is not Safaricom. That is a kind of transition, so that people should not see you and see your past now, because you have handed over. They should see the current people, but you should be at the back. Maybe you could be in the board, still advising and making things happen from that strategic angle. So these steps are very important. And I think there's one more, Mantu, let's go, yes. The post-transition support phase is also very important. Once you have left the organization, once you have finally handed over, then you can you can participate in strategic advice. You can be retained in the board maybe, or you can be retained as somebody to consult once in a while on how we move forward. Just like we have like old presidents, when they retire, don't disappear, because the upcoming presidents, they keep calling them. When this happens, what happens, or what do we do? When you have a generational uprising like we had recently, how do you behave? Do you beat them? Do you jail them? Do you abduct them? Do you, you have to get advice. You tell you, okay, maybe this, you can manage this kidogo, it will cool down. And finally, there is need to do a review of the succession process with the new staff so that everybody knows they are on well-grounded and they know they are doing the right thing and they know the goal is clear. So that now when your presence is not there anymore, they can move. Then from there, you can be visiting them from time to time. So that if it's your children, come see how they are doing and go back. Whether you stay in the village, you can go back to the village, make them feel now totally in charge. So that now you have free time to do other things, what you wanted to do after transition. Before I leave these steps, I happen to sit in a board of an organization, and we are right in succession planning, or we have reached a place where that we feel there is need for succession planning. But like any other organization, we are having problems with the starters. Those who started the organization, they happen to be the CEO. These NGO things. When you're in an NGO, you'll be, implementing every activity. And so at that position, maybe you are the highest paid because, or among the highest paid, and there's a lot of money, but there's a lot of work to do. But now our CEO is getting old, and you can see the capacity is dwindling. And the organization, fortunately, is growing. It's getting a lot of confidence with donors. But now the CEO, you cannot manage 5 projects. You can see now the capacity is outstripped. And you know how you realize? You start having illnesses, getting sick. You start, you can see you are clearly distracted. So we can see that. So when we met a few weeks ago, we were being a bit radical. Experience as a BDS, well, I can only tell you the truth that now you have to change your shoes now because your foot has reached the end. But even the current board we have, more than 50%, they are people who came with the beginner, with the founder from far. In fact, they started from a church. This one was a choir master. This one was a leader of the youth, but they don't have much capacity in strategic thinking. This one was my teacher, this one. So those relationships with the founder, they are so core. You try even to put your children to be employees, they can't deliver. So we have to reach a point where one, we have to change the board. And that will be the most painful drug to swallow, because we recommended that one, we have to do something about the board, to have a high capacity board, because this organization is outgrowing our capacity. And you have to accept when something is outgrowing your capacity. So we want in the next few years, the current CEO to be the board chair, because he's still the vision carrier, to be the board chair, so that that the vision is not lost, but now we get a very articulate CEO. The money might go down, the returns might go around, but now we don't have a choice. Maybe we can go around, maybe procurement, maybe we can for now have our, founder to have, something to do with all procurement so that he gets something because feel like it is going out of his hand. But one thing is clear, something must move here. It's either the organization dies or we do something. So we have tentatively agreed that we are going to look at the board charter. We are going to look at the qualifications of board members. We are going to do so many things to change our strategic thinking. And from there, we can change a few roles so that we can have a very professional CEO to manage a program manager to manage different projects, who has higher capacity, more learned and everything. And now we can have quality employees, and we let the thing grow. Otherwise, if it goes beyond this time, then we shall kill the organization, no matter how we love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 10:16. I propose we have a short break of 15 minutes. We come at 10:30, and when we come back, we shall go to another item. So thank you very much for now. Let's meet at 10:30. All right. So now we are going to look at review a few challenges to succession planning. I hope everybody is back. I can see there's a drop off of quite a number. Right. So why is it so hard for succession planning for many business people? I'll start with the worst or the biggest, and it is behavioral. And the reluctance to change or reluctance to let go. It is the third on the slide, but the first in importance. We are very reluctant to let go because our cultural mindset is such that we do something forever. You see, we are employed forever. So everybody in Kenya wants a permanent and pensionable job. We live somewhere forever. So you don't want to move out of your comfort zone. And so when you do start a business, you don't want to see people run the business you started when it's out of your hands. The reluctance to let go is the biggest contributor to poor succession planning. So until we break this mindset, is a time that we can expect to grow as business owners. That is why you can see a micro business has been micro for 40 years. Like those old shops in the villages where the shopkeeper we saw when we were going to kindergarten is the same one today, the same shop, partially stocked, partially empty for all these years. Because a business cannot outgrow your capacity until you allow it. And once it outstrips your personal capacity, you have to get capacity from out. That is why we hire qualified workers, because you need more hands. You need higher capacity. So the reluctance to let go is a very big impediment to succession planning. And then that leads to lack of formal planning. As we said earlier, it is not accidental. It should be intentional. The day you are employed, for instance, even on a permanent and pensionable job, is the day you should start retiring. To know how will it be? You know very well your age, so you know I'll retire on this day. So if you know that, then you should know what you're going to do on your retirement day and plan backwards. Yeah, by this time I should have this, so that now you have a rolled out plan from where you are up to retirement year. So without formal planning, you cannot have a successful succession planning. And because you don't want to let go, you find that the business depends so much on you, because everything is tied along around you, decision making, client relationships, daily operations. You are the operator of the business. You are everything. You are the one who deals with clients. You are the one who makes every decision. And that is not healthy for succession. I saw a school somewhere where a nice lady started a school I won't say which town because it will be obvious. Then it did very well because it became the best private school. But the owner always put value on the number of students. I think hesabu yake ilikuwa the number of students is equal to this profit. So that direct proportionality between the number of students and the profit, because they make profit anyway. So she never stopped constructing. Even the playground, she constructed more hostel, more classes, more classes. They became a boarding, so more hostels and more hostels. Until now, the facilities was trained, and she was a kind of manager who follows everybody. Akituma gari kwenda kuchukua unga, lazima afuate. Those who are splitting wood in the kitchen, she has to be there. She was a school. She was all over. So I believe the school is still on. I don't know, but when everything is tied around you, when you are not there, everything stops, because where ndio ulileta wafanyikazi, where ndio uliandika watu, where ndio umeleta wanafunzi, suppliers. When everything is tied around you, then you are starting on a very vulnerable ground, because one day if you are not there for various reasons, nothing will move. So dependence on the owner of a business for everything is not good for succession planning. Then we have the family-led businesses or family-owned businesses. These ones have huge succession issues because in most cases, the capacity of the owners don't transcend to their children. You'll find the owner of the business is doing well, he had skills, but you'll always find a disconnect between the next generation and the present generation. First of all, most people who grew up in poverty and they were able to start businesses, they are not able to groom the next generation, because what they think was problems, they want to shield your children from problems. So they spoil them with comfort and entitlement mentality. So there is a disconnect. So even when they pass on or they leave the businesses, their children cannot manage them, because they don't have capacity. They didn't go to school because they are rich, they have money. They don't have skills because they always watched video. They always eating free food. They are comfortable. You cannot grow in comfort. So that transiting usually is very hard between the founders and their families. Then sometimes you always have a kid who is maybe more selfish. He could be learned, he could have technical capacity, but maybe more selfish, more entitled. So there's always infighting. And usually they sit there and wait for you to move on so that they can take the money. And most likely when you are gone, the business is dead. They sell it or throw away, maybe drink it all the way, and that's the end. So family dynamics in family-owned businesses are very core to succession planning. So if you don't want to avoid such scenarios, then you have to build their capacity, you have to involve them early, and they have to sweat. They have to know that there's some thinking that goes around business keeping and business formulation and so on. So that's another challenge with the families. Then sometimes we don't have suitable successors. Sometimes you find maybe your children cannot succeed you because of what you have talked about. And now you start exploring other possibilities like selling the business, and trusting it on employees, and so on. So lack of suitable successors is another reason why succession planning is a challenge. Next slide, please. Yes, then next challenge is knowledge transfer. Sometimes MSMEs are not good in transferring knowledge and skill. And working with informal systems is like shooting yourself in the foot in business, because we do informal systems, we stick to informal systems to save. But At the end of the day, you are not saving anything. You are just bargaining yourself out of business and shooting your progress. And slow but surely, you cannot succeed because it affects your succession planning, because you want to remain informal. And this informal thinking is usually with the founders or the original owners. They don't want to transfer knowledge because they think somebody maybe will steal the knowledge. But now, how do you function without investing in knowledge and sharing it with your employees or directors? Other challenges come with financial and tax complications because many businesses are not valued. They don't even know their value. Okay. And so, because of poor record keeping, they might sink into tax liabilities. And this one complicates succession because even if you decide to sell the business, who will buy a business that has many tax liabilities and therefore a bad name with the revenue authorities? Nobody wants to start from there because already the goodwill is bad. And definitely the tax penalties might be very high and can even decimate your business. The next challenge is on resistance by employees. Most employees don't want change because the mindset of an employee is to have an income and stick there for long. Ndio walee watoto, ndio wafanye nini, wakae hapo milele. That is mostly the mindset of many of us employees. They don't want change. So sometimes you can have a lot of resistance from employees who don't want change. So how do you go about it? You have to involve them. You have to make them know that when the organization grows, they also grow. So if your chain of supermarket grows, if you are a sweeper today, tomorrow you can go to school and become a cashier. You have to show them you can grow with the business, improve your capacity, and still keep your job. Yeah. Otherwise, employees can and always have a mindset of longevity in your employment, and they don't want to change much. Want kukaa pale tu. Timing. We said that a good succession plan starts from the beginning. Just like we say that the day you are employed is the day you should start planning your retirement. So if you are going to start work for 30 years, is today you think, how is your end game going to be? What do you want to be at 60? Now you are at 30. So that now you work backwards to see what you should do today, make your end game good. Most businesses, owners, they wait until they are so incapacitated. That's when they want to plan to leave the business to their firstborn or one of the kids, when they have even moved on with their issues. And we are too incapacitated even to see through the process, either by disease or age or just technology. You can become decimated in so many ways. Today's even technology can do you in. So timing is important. Start early so that the progression is clear and the end picture is clear, not only to you, but to everyone. Whether they are employees, family members, start early. Another challenge is managing external stakeholders. You find that they are usually tied around the original owner of the business. Instead of being tied to systems, establish systems so that customers, suppliers, and everybody, they get used to systems of the organization, not you, the person. Yeah, so that thinking grows early, so that you are not indispensable. Let clients get used to a system of doing things, not to the personal touch, because personal touch brings in compromise, no? But systems are fair to everyone. Another challenge is training and development. Many business owners don't invest in training their successors. Training is very, very important. And whether we talk of limited resources, there are no resources that are too limited for training, because we have to keep on growing our skills every day. You have to invest in your employees every day. You have to invest in your families every day, because they must keep on growing. There's another challenge with regulatory and compliance risk. So businesses also face this challenge of compliance to regulations and compliance to organizations that set standards and maybe determine the way you do your service delivery. Then there is loss of trust with the clients as a challenge arising from the way you deal with them, arising from the way you manage information, the way you manage feedback, and so on. And the cure for that, again, is to have systems that make it easy for clients to know what is happening, make it easy for them to get the product that they get from you. Because we agreed at the beginning that the business you own is not yours, it's ours. And when it is not there, we really get inconvenience, because it is us who consume the service. Next. So there are so many consequences to poor succession planning. From business disruption to loss of institutional knowledge, morale of the employees going down. I'm just touching on a very few of them. And the most prominent ones, like conflict within families, can arise from poor succession planning. It's good for family members to know what business you do and what is expected of them as early as possible, so that as the business grows, they are ingrained and their capacity built and they are ready for takeover. Okay, so the most prominent thing about succession planning, it manifests in family conflicts. And you know very well that in the last 3-4 years, we have lost 2 supermarket brands that were on top of this world in this country, thanks family conflicts. So there's no brand that is too big to fall when there are family conflicts. There is also, I can touch on lack of competitive edge. And last week we were talking about what builds competitive edge. And if there are succession problems, then it will show in your competitive edge, because slowly by slowly, you'll be unable to cope. You'll be dragged down. You'll be unable to move, because there are some internal issues that are not solved. And when they come, you start losing your employees and you start losing the best. You know, when employees leave, you don't start with the worst. You start with the best, because they get opportunities quickly elsewhere. So you start behaving like a slow punctured tire, and everybody can see. And when your brand starts suffering, you know, that way, then to come back is usually very hard. You don't claim back your reputation. Then let's move on. I won't touch on everything. Next slide. Now, let's look at the legal aspects of, you have moved too fast. Okay, the legal aspects to consider in succession planning. One, you have to focus on the employment laws, because the human resource laws are clear. And once you don't handle them very well, they can lead to disgruntled employee, or they can lead to employees taking you to court, and you can pay heavy damages. So as an employer, you have to keep an eye to have a succession plan that is productive, it's good to familiarize yourself with employment laws, contracts and obligation laws, intellectual property rights laws, dispute resolution mechanisms. Today, alternative dispute resolution mechanisms are being encouraged because, one, when cases go to court, they take a lot of time and resources and also a bad reputation. So it is encouraged to have alternative dispute resolution, and even in your agreements, it's good to put this as a first priority. When you are signing agreements with employees, with everybody, it's good to prioritize this alternative dispute resolution because it's time saving and it is fair. You know, the court system is adversarial. There's a winner loser, and the loser leaves disgruntled until he goes to the next high court. But alternative dispute resolution looks at interests and balances the interests. And when that is done, then everybody leaves the table smiling with a handshake. But in court, there's no handshake. There's always a loser and a gainer. One goes home celebrating, the other one pained. So as you do contracts, if you want a good succession plan, it's good to invest more in ADR. So it's also good to have business valuation laws to know how business valuation is done, because it is core to succession, to know the value of your business, and that one determines how it grows. Next. The key legal documents for succession planning include wills and trusts. Wills are very important because sometimes business founders, they pass on when they are still active, and they leave a lot of confusion to families and to employees and everybody else. So wills are very important, and it is encouraged that when you write a will, it doesn't mean you are going to die. When you are a business owner, it's good to start having some of these documents because they can impact very negatively when you are not there. Of course, Africans don't die. So we are not, we don't like this thing of writing wills. We think when you're going to write, we are going to die. Our cultural understanding is like that. But when you know the risks of what it can translate to, it's good to get, as we do succession planning, to start getting familiar with this document. Shareholders agreements is good to have them, and they guide the transfer of ownership of the company. Partnership agreements, those you are working with, if you're in a partnership, companies, articles of association, business contracts, it's very good to have these documents because they are the core documents in a business, because you are dealing with partners, you are dealing with customers, you are dealing with intellectual properties, you know, and it's always good to have some of these, depending on your kind of business, you'll find some of these documents very important. You can wish them away until they come calling, until a contract expires with somebody, until somebody takes you to court, until you leave confusion behind, until your intellectual property is stolen. That's when you know that your business is affected. So these are very core to succession planning. Next slide, please. Yes, so the institutions that are very relevant to business succession planning in Kenya, of course, the Kenya Revenue Authority, because of tax implications. This one is very, very important because the moment you start a business, then depending on the nature of business, depending on the nature of organization, there are tax implications. So it's good to understand them early. Don't wait until they multiply and build to a level that you cannot sustain them anymore, and it's affecting your business. The Office of Attorney General, this is where we register organizations. This is where we deposit the wills. This is where we have trusts issues. And so you might find, or you'll find this core. registration of companies, and so on. The business registration service under the same office, that's why we do company business registration. The Kenya Industrial Property Institute, KIPI, this is, you'll find this one is crucial in intellectual property management, because you could have some intellectual properties, that's why they are registered, and to make sure that your innovations are not stolen. The Capital Markets Authority, it involved in shared transfers in public companies. Those of businesses that do financial services and deal with the financial markets, then you know the Capital Market Authority is very core. Recently, we had a problem with something called Bitcoin that came to Kenya and was not regulated. And when finally it crashed, it left premium tears in many investors. But unfortunately, it was not internally controlled from Capital Markets Authority. So those who lost. And I know of people who lost millions and millions because the Capital Markets Authority did not regulate Bitcoin business. And so those who lost, they lost big time. The Law Society of Kenya, especially those one in the legal businesses, you'll find the organization very core. The Kenya Bankers Association, definitely matters financing and wealth management is very core to that. Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, especially in matters valuation. Insurance Regulatory Authority, because of risk management, you're managing your insurance issues. Central Bank of Kenya, because of matters of regulation, again, like that Bitcoin case, the governor kept on saying and warning people to stop engaging in Bitcoin, but because it was not internally regulated. And so when it went down and left tears and tears. So these are just some of the relevant institutions you might find yourself dealing with, and very core to managing your succession of business going forward. Next slide. Right. There are several types of succession plans we have available. And the first one is a family succession plan. And this one is, it involves family members. And it involves one generation transferring business to the next one, like a father to son, father to grandson, mother to son or daughter, and so on. So that is one type of a succession plan. We also have internal succession plan, where the business owner passes the leadership and management to an internal candidate. You can leave your business to an employee or even a friend or anybody who is internal to the organization. So that one is an internal succession plan. We have external succession plan, which involves bringing in someone from outside the business to take over. Yeah. So when somebody is not from within, then that one is an external succession plan. Here, we have very sensitive issues like the airport issue we have in Kenya. This is a kind of a succession where you're involving someone to come in for many years. That's an external person, It's not a Kenyan, maybe. It's not, well, anyway, that's political. I don't want to go into that. But the point is, you can bring an outsider in your succession matrix. We also have employee stock ownership plan, where gradually an employee or employees take up the business. You can prepare your employees to take up the business and leave it to them. You want maybe to relocate, maybe you want just to do away with the business. You can decide with the employees to take it up. They wakulipe pole pole, wakienda, prepare, build their capacity, and with the time they take over and you go your way. So that's another way. And another way is to ultimately sell the business. Yeah, this one is clear and simple. It involves outright sale of the business to an external buyer or another business. and so on. So we have different types of succession plans. Sio moja tu, ni aina nyingi. Next slide. We also have mergers and acquisition succession plans. You can opt to merge with another business. Yeah, you have seen a bank like Barclays recently is called ABSA. Is because of such a merger. You decide instead of relocating from Kenya, let us invite another partner and we merge and we proceed with our customers, we educate them. Hatujaenda ni sisi ni wale wale tu, tuko sawa, jina tu na rangi ndio imechange ya branding, lakini sisi ni wale wale. So that is a merger or acquisition. You can also have a liquidation plan. It's also an exit strategy where business assets are sold off. By the way, succession is not just building and building. You can have a succession plan to add the business, to liquidate the business, maybe after so many years. Maybe it's a business that is dealing with technology that is becoming outdated. Like you are selling carburetors of vehicles, and now a new technology is coming up. So you can project and say, I think we need to stop the sale of these items at some point. So liquidation is also a succession plan. You can also have phased succession plan where you gradually transit to another form in a phased way, So with the time, you either sell it or transform or involve your employees or to buy out. It can be phased out, not sudden. And by that time, you're also engaging your employees and your customers to know that in 5 years, we shall relocate from Kenya. So mkiona hizi changes tunafanya, mjue sisi tunatoka Kenya ama from this market in a phased way so that we don't inconvenience you. So if we are selling these out spares of Toyota, maybe the next 5 years you'll be buying from Toyota, lakini sisi ni wale wale, we have an agreement in few years to take over. You can have a hybrid succession plan, where you can have it is not it's a partial sale to external investors as you retain some. Some you can decide to even sell some branches of your business and remain with one, or two. That is, it's hybrid. You want to retain some and sell some. Yeah. You can also have business trust or holding companies plan where a business is transferred into a trust or a holding company. That's also another succession plan. I've seen people even buy land and instead of writing their names, their spouses, they write their children. And it becomes a trust that you are holding it in trust of your children. When they are big, they will take over. So you are just holding in trust. You can even have a business you are holding in trust for future generations, maybe. So succession plans are many. And the reason why I've listed so many is because sio moja tu, kuna many forms. And as a business strategic thinker, you can see what favors your business, what form you can take to keep your customers happy and keep yourself happy, and with time to manage your transition or succession. Next slide, please. Right. What are the key considerations in choosing a succession plan? When you want to choose a succession plan that is best for you, one, the business structure is important to consider. Is it a sole proprietorship? Biashara ya mtu moja? Is it a partnership? What is it? Is it a limited company? All these forms, the business structure will be core to how you can translate to another form. Another key consideration is the family dynamics. Tulisema maneno ya familia. A family-owned business has so many dynamics, ranging from even incompetence of family members. Some are not willing. Some, may be very capable, but maybe they want to take it away from their siblings. Family dynamics are in so many forms you can't exhaust, and they really affect the succession plan that we are going to pick. Maybe instead of leaving your children fighting over property, like we have seen with all these many politicians who have passed on, and for many years the properties are in court, you can decide to sell all your businesses and they share the money, and it gets there. Financial goals is another item that you consider when in your succession plan. What did you want to do with the money? No, what did you want to do with the income from business? So what did you want your finances? What was the end game in your financials? So that will also help you in choosing a succession plan. The legal framework also, some businesses are very hard to liquidate because of what they go with, like NGOs. You have to leave all your properties with another NGO. You have to, when exit is not very easy. So when you are planning an exit, you have to know your business is registered in which form, otherwise, or your organization. Otherwise, it can be very hard to change later on. Tax implications, yes, today taxation, especially in our current regime, people are very cautious about taxes, and in your succession plan, you know what favors you. Now people are moving so much into NGOs and they are leaving private companies because kind of there is some, laws that, limit your taxes. So in your choice of succession plan, you have many to choose from. Next slide. So the success factors for an efficient succession planning, first of all, is early planning. See the end from the beginning. As you start, see the end. When you start working, start retiring. Otherwise, if you don't see the end from the beginning, your succession planning will be affected. The role of communication, as we said earlier, to internal and external consumers, very important. Selection and grooming of successors, very important. Capacity building them, so that you don't leave a business to your children who have no capacity, and then you are surprised when it fails and you start blaming them. They didn't have capacity. If they don't have capacity, then that's it. You're going to mess your business. Legal and tax compliance, very important, as I've remarked a few minutes ago. Financial preparedness and business valuation. Valuation of business is important, so that at any one time you know how much is your business worth. So that when you want to make crucial decisions, whether to sell it, whether to merge, whether you want to sell it, you are informed how much your business is worth. Your balance sheet comes in handy here. Your risk management and continuity planning, very important. Is your business insured? A business that is insured and the one that is not insured, they are not the same. An insured business has more market value than one that is not insured. Governance structures, very core to succession planning. An organization that has strong governance structures fetches more from the market. Stakeholder buy-in, or what we call goodwill, very important succession planning, because goodwill translates best on the bottom line. And when you have good stakeholder buy-in, it reflects on your brand, it reflects on your bottom line. Adaptability and flexibility, very important in succession planning. Usage of professional advisors, as we said earlier, is good to get legal, financial, and strategic guidance, how to do a business plan, how to do a strategic plan, how to interpret legal jargon, to know where your business stands, because a small clause in business can mean the end of the world for you. Just one font 6 line that you didn't read properly can really mess your business going forward. Then we have other items like the family and cultural consideration for a business. We cannot overemphasize the family dimension and cultural considerations. Letting go, letting go is important in succession planning. Involving family, going beyond cultural barriers. letting the business grow with structures, very important. And of course, succession policy today is important, and aware timed transition is important because we said a transition should start at a certain point and end at a certain point. It should not be vague. Everybody should be aware that transition is starting now and ending at a certain point. Next slide, please. So we have a few takeaways, and this helps you understand we are almost ending this presentation. And one of the key takeaways in succession planning is that succession planning ensures continuity even after the exit of a founder. And this is what it should be. So there should be business continuity beyond ordinary mortals' lifespan. And it's not by accident, it is intentional, by planning. It's by financing, it's by capacity building, and so on. Then succession planning ensures that business operations are not negatively impacted. So avoidance of disruptions. When succession is well planned, disruptions are managed and the financial losses are managed because it is intentional, it is not by accident. Another takeaway is that succession planning ensures the knowledge is passed on to the next generation. Some of this knowledge can be patented, and you can have the IPs, which is important to growth of your business. So preserve the knowledge and skills that you have, and maybe this could be core to business. I hear up to this day, nobody knows how Coca-Cola is made. It's a secret that has spanned many years. Nobody knows the formula. It is a preserve of the company, and that is why we have taken the product for so many years. Everybody else has come up with something close, but not the Coca-Cola, because they have preserved that knowledge and patented it. Then another takeaway is on attraction of investment and credit. When you have a succession planning policy, it gives confidence to businesses and other stakeholders. If you go to a bank for a loan and one customer has a strategic succession plan, another one doesn't have, the one who has more scores because it is very clear the direction the business is going and there is no vagueness. So for strategic growth and innovation, you need succession planning because this nurtures new leaders, it drives innovation, and helps you to adapt to changing trends. These are just a few takeaways. I know you have your own, the one that you have been noting the last 2 hours. But in the bottom line is about longevity of your business and your business growing beyond your capacity and transcending through generations. Next slide, please. Right. So now you can have something to do on your business, no matter how small. We agreed there is no small or big business. All businesses operate from the same principles. It's only that a kiosk imeanzwa na 10,000 and another business is started with 10 billion. Same principles, different outlay. If you go to the registrar of companies, a small company that has no office, the file is the same as Safaricom. That physical file, the files are the same size. But what you do with the capital outlay is where the business and the business concept and everything, that's where you start differing. Now, these are 11 steps of succession planning that I've listed here, like assessing the business future needs. Is it something you can do for your business in the next 6 months, in then 1 year, 2 years? Identifying potential successors. Can you do it in 1 day, 1 week. So 6 months and 1 year, they are just provisional. Look at your business. Establishing a timeline. How long can it take you? Because if you don't do some of these things, you'll revert back the old familiar ways, the way you always revert. Training is meant to make you change your capacity and to change your behavior. It's a behavior change intervention. So you can look at all these 11 steps and see how you start moving on your business from now. Now that you have known that you need a strategic plan, a succession plan, how do you move from here? So I've listed the 11 steps that we've covered earlier. In the slides, you are going to get a presentation, and now you start doing something about it. If you don't change the way you do things, nothing will change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to change something at whatever level, even if it's hooking business. You can be a hawker today, tomorrow you can have a kiosk, the next day you can have a shop, and you start because of the plans that you make for your business. Because you are going to have good records and strategic plans. You are going to have a succession plan. You are going to have all these plans all lined up for growth. So this being the last slide in this presentation, I want to encourage you to always, when you do a training, to do something on your own, no matter how small. And this is how we have grown, all of us. You know, well, I'm speaking here because I have a product that has grown over time. You know, what I'm presenting here, we started making these modules many years ago. I think around 2018 or 2017. That's when we started working on these modules. Over time, we have trained so many, and we are still moving on because we keep on growing, we keep on improving. So change something. I challenge you to change something in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year for the growth of your company, and that should reflect in your bottom line. And that should mark the end of presentation and open the next slide for Q&A, for question and answer, before we close at 11:30. Over to you, Mantui.
Thank you very much, Duncan, for the insightful session. Like has been shared in the chats. This is one of those topics that seem complicated, but you've really broken it down, and I think we appreciate the fact that it is applicable for all types of businesses, and for all sizes. So thank you very much once more.
Thank you.
So allow me just to read a few of the questions, and then you can respond. So we'll begin with a question from Carlos Misachi, who asks, is it advisable to sell your business even if it is doing very well? Yeah, I think let's go one by one so that we answer well.
Yes, you can sell your business even when it is doing very well, depending on what you want to do with the money. Do you want to buy another business? Do you want to change direction? It's one of the succession ways. Do you want to quit? So yes, you can sell even when it is doing very well. I've done that before at a personal level. Somebody came and offered good money, and I saw an opportunity to do something bigger. So that's fine. That was a succession. It ended there. It opened new doors to other opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. And even just before we continue, I'd like to encourage the participants. You can share what Duncan was saying. You try and change at least one thing. So let's have this culture of maybe in the comments, but also after the session, we will have a feedback form where you can let us know if there's any particular thing that you've changed, however small, however big, so that we can see how we can continuously improve this. The next question is from Cynthia Mudembe, still on selling a business. It says, how does one determine the price of a business for sale? And then let me also just remind participants, you can share your questions on the Q&A tab so that we can easily track. Thank you.
Yeah, what determines sale of business? Yes, first of all, does it have records? The selling value of a business is because it has governance structures that are visible. It has records. You know how much profit you make. You know how much liabilities you make. Financial advisors will scrutinize those records to know the worth. And also you can look at the market, that such kind of a business, what is the market price of them generally? But at the end of the day, it's because your business, you are selling structures, you are selling value, you are selling goodwill, you are selling buy-in with stakeholders, and so many others. So you have to quantify all those elements to know the selling price with the help of a financial advisor.
All right. Thank you, Duncan. I think I'll just continue compiling the sale questions. Duncan Kavati asks, what happens when the cultures and norms don't allow a company to be sold and it's not doing well and the sibling have run out of ideas to run the business?
Hey, culture, we have to learn how to outgrow culture, because business has no culture. It's you who has a culture. So let business grow. If culturally you feel that now it is contravening your cultural beliefs, then sell it, because, yeah, business has no culture. It's you. You are limiting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. So an anonymous attendee has asked, how does a family business with extended family members implement a succession plan? Is it something that can be done internally or should a consultant be engaged?
Uh, Always it's good to engage a consultant who is good with the financials. Like in the previous question, there are so many elements you look at a business. A consultant will be able to calculate the worth of the business, valuation. That's why its pack is there, so that it can be valued. And when they are valuing, they look at records, they have a way of estimating goodwill, they have all these metrics they look at. So yes, it is important to involve a financial advisor. And that is why one of the stakeholders I named there was ISPAC, and there are so many other financial advisors in town who can help quantify the value of your business.
Great. So now I can go to questions touching on employees. We have Odundo Omolo who's asking, under number 7, communicate the plan. The internal communication should be communicated to key employees and stakeholders. Who are key employees in your opinion?
Depending on the structure of your organization, you could have HR managers, you could have, depending on the size of the organization. The smaller it is, the smaller the key employees. The bigger it is, the bigger the. If it is a kiosk, then you have to inform your family, your wife, children. If it's a supermarket, maybe it has a supervisor, a manager, depending on the size of your business, the word key is relative to the size of business.
Okay, great. And then Bobo Kumu asks, are there risks that the business may face when communicating the plan to employees? What are the deliberate steps the business should make to ensure equality to employees in the process?
The risk is, employees come to your place to stay, and most employees don't see beyond the salary. So in your communication, you have to craft it in a way where even employees see value and see growth in your decisions. Otherwise, you may not tell them that, next year I'm going to fire you, and we have to make them understand that growth and change is good for them. Like if you are going to sell the business, one of the agreement is maybe retain the employees. They feel even if you go, the next buyer of the business, their interests are catered for. So otherwise, there's some information you can give that you'll make your employees leave. You start losing them at a high rate. So whatever you communicate to them, let them see the value, and also try as much as possible to have their interests in mind. Thank you.
Great. And then Mercy Chepkwech asks, what to do to retain other talents when the transition period is over?
Always endeavor to get the best talent from the market. And to get there, you have to have a robust recruitment policy. Maybe to have shorter contracts for people so that people don't feel comfortable. and you don't retain skills you don't need, so that you always have the best from the market. So it goes back to your governance of the organization. Keep always on an edge, and it's always good to tap the best from the market.
Great. And then Clinton Odhiambo asks, in your extensive experience, what is the most significant misjudgment you've encountered in strategic decision making, and how did that shape your subsequent approach to risk assessment?
The biggest I've seen, we have very many micros at micro level, so that's why we have the most. And at micro level, most of the businesses are copy-pasted business, so they have no vision. You started selling chapatis because your neighbor does. You started selling mutumba because you had your neighbor made some money out of it. You started keeping pigs because you saw your neighbor, with a check of 100,000. That is the biggest. Actually, the biggest is we go to business to make money. The inspiration many business people have, they think you go there and make money. There is this fixation of making money. As long as you have that as the end goal, money will not come. We go to business to solve a problem. In the event of trying to solve a problem, that's when you solve a problem, people come because they want their problem solved. The more you solve their problems, the more the money comes. But when you just want to make money for the money's sake, then your thinking does not move, your strategic thinking is affected. And you find yourself starting one business after the other because they don't have money. You try one, doesn't have money. You don't know. Even businesses that have money, they don't have money all the time. Yeah, because money is seasonal. If you have had a business, money is seasonal. Sometimes you make money, sometimes but focused on solving a societal problem, not making money just to have a big balance at the bank. So those are the most fundamental problems we have. Our mindset and also cultural mindset really limits us because we think business is us. A business should not have a culture. You should allow it to grow, so it should not be limited by your beliefs. So let it grow, let it have structures, let it solve people's problem, and let it be independent from you.
Thank you, Duncan. We have quite a number of questions. Allow me just to allow a few of the participants to ask the questions themselves, and then before that, I just want to announce that we have shared the presentations and slides. So just ensure that you registered in the link that was shared, and we will reshare last week's modules as well as this week. So let me unmute Mihir. Mihir, you can go ahead.
Yes, Mihir Khetani.
Yeah, you can try and unmute. Yeah. All right, as Mihir sorts that out, I will unmute Clinton.
Also check if those who are willing to change something, I would like maybe some few feedback on somebody wants to change something in the next 3 months, 6 months. It will be very encouraging.
Okay, great. Clinton, are you able to speak? Right, I think maybe they have an issue with audio. I'll just try one more person, Sheila. All right, it seems there might be a problem with the speaker, so we'll just continue. So we have a question from Robert Gitao, who asks, how does the competition affect the SWOT model of a business and the economies of scale? I think this might touch on a bit of last week's, but yes.
Yes. Actually, that touches on last week's presentation. And competition is good all the time. And what we said in business competitiveness presentation, you have to keep an eye on the competition and how you outmaneuver them, how you modify your product or service, how you handle customer feedback. You can always tell. And I gave an example of when Safaricom started and when Kensel started. Kensel was the most robust company that offered mobile telephony. And most of us started from Kensel. but they were billing per minute. So they used to take a flat rate, 50 bob a minute. Then when Safaricom came, they started billing per second. And so if you loaded 200 shillings and 50 credit, you just paid for what you have used. Unlike Safaricom, cancel that whether somebody has flashed and you have picked, you lose just 50 bob at a go. So offering the same service, different strategies. That is how Safaricom took the market from Cancel, by just charging per second, you know? So you have a business to keep on looking at your competitors every day and analyzing what you can do differently. That is why you have a marketing team to keep an eye and always be ahead. That way, then you won't sink. You will overvalue, and every day you are doing something different.
Thank you, Duncan. So our time has come to an end, but let me just allow one more person. Let's try Tom. You've also requested in the comments. So Tom, can unmute.
Yes, hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, so I just wanted to actually make a comment on what we've learned today.
Yes.
So I have this friend of mine who comes from a background that is privileged, and what you taught today, I've actually seen some of them having been implemented in her life, because after finishing campus, she did finance. So after finishing finance, of course, she went to one of her dad's timber yards, started working there. And in the process of working there, she first went in to start learning how to cut timber. But recently, as time went by, I saw she was moved. Her dad requested her to get to acquaint herself with things to do with finance, because she was being moved to the finance sector, what she learned. And also she was requested to ask for a pay rise on the same. So the parent has been doing that intentionally to all her siblings because of the succession planning. And actually, when you're teaching, I just sent her the link so that she can be able to see some of the things that are happening, to be acquainted with them. Thank you so much.
Great.
And just to mention, on my startup also, I've tried to have the end in mind. When I began last year in December, when I was noting down everything, I had years like 2014, 2016 in mind, so that I know by the time that period reaches, what will I have been able to achieve, and who is it that I'll be living to. And in that line, I also thought of even a person I'll hire as a CEO when that time comes. And the person I have them in mind, I'm monitoring them for this period until that time reaches. And when it reaches, I know I'll be able to pass it on. Thank you so much for the session.
Great. Thanks, Tom Onditi. How well to nail this home. Thank you and congrats, and I wish you the best. That was the greatest, termination of this presentation, and I wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Faith and Lillian, who've been interpreting for us. The engagement has been really good. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfortunate that our time has come to an end, but I hope that every single one of you will implement something in their business, so that we can have these conversations and testimonials months and years to come. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet here, same time, same place next week. Thank you, and have a good day.
Have a good day.